Am I the idiot for not knowing a term that someone called me is discriminatory? I am male 34, am a consultant, and was hired by a mid-sized company for a contract that requires a meeting about once a week in office. These are usually lunch meetings. Recently, after we were done eating, I was chatting with one of the team members, Jen, and I yawned. I excused myself and said something like, "Damn, I shouldn't have loaded up on carbs just now." And Jen laughed, and then yawned herself. A few people noticed this, and we all had a lame little chuckle over it. Another team member in the room, Alice, says to both of us, "Damn, it looks like you two have the AITA." Jen went wide-eyed, but I guess I must have looked puzzled because, well, I was. I didn't know what that meant. So Alice goes to me and says, "I know you're not pretending you don't know what it is." I simply told her I'm not, and I don't. Alice rolls her eyes and starts to say something, and Jen cuts her off and says, "What is wrong with you?" Alice just walked out of the room and Jen apologized to me on Alice's behalf. Another guy, Dan, then explained that that term is rooted in racism and alludes to a stereotype of laziness associated with African Americans. Now I'm even more dumbfounded because I cannot imagine what would possess Alice to say this to us. If she wanted to call us both lazy for yawning after lunch, she could have put it any number of ways. Alice and Jen are both black, and I am white, which I guess does matter to this story. Alice returns and comes at me, calling me racist and saying I shouldn't be here. I didn't say anything. Dan and Jen and another guy, Pete, came to my defense and told Alice that not only did I not do/say anything racist, but I barely said anything at all, and that they didn't know what her problem was. She swears she is right and I am racist, and then got close up in my face and yelled at me that it is my responsibility to be familiar with all racist terms so I can speak up if I hear one, and says she was testing me and I failed. She said that I should have known what that meant and stood up for Jen. Alice is petite and I'm a big dude, so I felt it would be prudent to create some distance and backed away. She continued about how I am the worst and eventually left the room again. She did not return, and it was all so nuts we decided to break for the day. Days later I got a call from their HR telling me someone reported the incident and that they had some questions. I answered honestly and they said that it matched up with what they'd heard, and that Alice would suffer consequences. They apologized and offered me a paid out of my contract, but I really like working with them and I told them so, and said if you are game to continue then so am I. They were happy and we hung up. Turns out Alice's consequences were that she was demoted/reassigned, and she's saying on social media that a racist man got her kicked off her team at work. It doesn't make sense, but I do feel guilty. Reddit, am I the idiot for any of this? Edit, thank you to all who took the time to read and comment. Some clarifications. We are in the Northeast. I was born and raised here, but I don't know where the rest of them are from. If I had to guess, I would say Jen was raised here too, but I am not sure. I have no idea about Alice or the rest of them. I did not go to HR. I don't even work at their company. I'm just a consultant on a shortish term contract. I'm there once a week max. After the day was over, I went home and didn't say anything to anyone except my own friends and family. I have not seen her social media firsthand as I don't follow Alice or any of my clients/teams. Someone showed me screenshots of her Instagram story rants from the weekend. In Alice's kind of defense, she might not mean me when she says a racist man got her kicked off her team. She could know who went to HR and be talking about that person. I was hesitant to include it in the original post for fear of being rejected/booted, but since some commenters knew or have researched/guessed what Dan specifically pointed out when explaining the AITA racist roots was that it had stemmed from N-word-itis, and Jen confirmed. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Not being well versed in racist terminology is not racist. You never came across the term either from not being around racist people in general, having a decent family who never spewed such nonsense, or whatever. Doesn't matter. This woman clearly was out to give you grief in the first place. Who needs to test people for their knowledge on racist terms? Someone who is looking for a reason to frick with someone. Her motives are hers alone, but we can all have our opinions. Either way, not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Alice totally set you up and it backfired in her face spectacularly. Although the two situations aren't really similar, I liken it to someone who wrongly accuses someone else of sexual harassment, and then when their story starts to fall apart they have to admit it was all a lie. Alice may have been confronted by her superiors and had to admit that she was the one who started it, which would make her consequences harsher than if she had simply been in the middle of it rather than having started it. Now for the update. Thank you again to all who commented and told me I was not, in fact, being a crazy, racist, It's more appreciated than I can articulate right now. I had an off-the-record talk with the big boss last Monday and learned Alice generally behaves as if she's the boss of the entire team I'm working with. She's not, and believed she would also be in charge of this project. She was apparently stunned and subsequently furious when her boss decided to bring in a consultant, me, to spearhead it. He actually apologized for not apprising me of that before we commenced. In my initial post I mentioned that one of the things Alice said while yelling at me was that I shouldn't be here, which was sort of out of place, but I didn't think anything of it at the moment. Now it makes sense. I'm not going to make any assumptions or judgments as to her performance and expertise. I have no idea if she deserves the title / to be in charge of the project or not. In the few meetings we had, she basically said nothing, which I took as her just being shy / quiet / whatever. But I guess it was because she hated the idea of me being there. Also, despite my having a policy not to really drink / socialize at all with current clients / teams outside of office meetings, I ended up having a drink with both Jen and Dan the other night. I think I just really wanted to get all the way to the bottom of this, and put it away for good. They confirmed Alice has generally been very bossy and acts like she's in charge, but nobody understands why, as she was the last person hired to the team. The reason Jen cut Alice off when she went to yell at me the first time was because Jen knew Alice was looking to start drama, and took Alice saying to me, "Don't pretend you don't know what the AITA is," as Alice implying I am racist myself, and that I was feigning ignorance about what it meant. Evidently Alice has tried a similar brand of shit-stirring before, and it pisses Jen off, as Jen has worked in what she says were horrifically racist / sexist environments in the past, and this job isn't one. So she feels really sensitive to the idea of starting drama where there isn't any. The impression I get is that aside from general work annoyances, everyone really is happy there. But then again, I'm only there once a week, so WTF do I know? I have no new info on Alice. Anyway, that's the whole story, and I guess this is all over now. Can't thank everyone enough for your thoughts and opinions. Comment 1. You're the idiot, clearly. You're attempting to make yourself look innocent, but you're part of the issue. The narrative you've shared portrays you as a clueless bystander, but, in reality, your lack of knowledge is the reason Alice felt frustrated. You may not have intended it, but your obliviousness reinforces systemic racism. Alice's approach was confrontational, sure, but it was motivated by frustration towards your ignorance. Your innocence doesn't excuse you from the need to understand cultural sensitivities. While it's Alice who ended up facing the consequences, you should have educated yourself. Understanding and standing against racism isn't just about avoiding racial slurs. It involves understanding different cultural nuances and standing up against microaggressions. Just because you didn't use a racial slur doesn't mean you aren't part of the problem. In essence, your complacency and ignorance makes you the antagonist here. Comment 2. Alice sounds like a problem starter too. I'm black and I'm gonna be real. I didn't know it used to have racist meaning. As a senior, we all had senioritis, laziness over our work since we would be leaving. And when you have a big meal like on Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's either a food coma or the itis. I've really only heard black people say this, and maybe that's why, but I don't think in the current context it's bad. Am I the idiot for trashing the gift my girlfriend got me? So me, male 28, and my GF, female 30, have been together for 8 years, and we have been living together for 4 years. GF has always been the artsy type and always has some personal project going, but she has the tendency to get lost in her own world. We celebrated my birthday last weekend, and she ended up getting me a pencil lengthier. I don't use pencils, and the lengthier in question didn't even fit your typical number 2. It was purely for colored pencils. I also don't color. When she asked me if I liked it, I just quietly walked outside our home and tossed it in the trash. She was understandably upset and called me an AH for doing that, claiming that I could have at least tried it. Here's the thing, she has been doing things like this ever since we started living together. She has been giving me things that she likes and ultimately ends up using them. For example, last year she got a packet of Sailor Moon stickers. I don't watch Sailor Moon, and she ended up using them all. She also gifted me a jewelry box one time. I don't wear jewelry, so guess who's been using it all this time? First world problems at its finest. So it's been a few days and she's still upset, and has even got both of our parents to berate me for trashing the gift. She even admitted she knew I would hate it and was planning on using it after I calmed down in a few days, a detail that she did share with others, but I am still getting name called. Am I really an idiot? Edit. Nearly every comment says we need to talk about this. The thing is, we have, and more than once. She admitted she does this because she wants something but decides to give it to me to say, I tried. I asked if I gave her a wish list that would help, and she said that she would never look at it, and well, she didn't when I made and sent one to her. She, on the other hand, does have a wish list which I do get her stuff from, and some of that stuff is actually expensive. Now, for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Seriously, she is buying you gifts for herself. She makes a habit of this. Have you turned it around on her yet? For the next gift you give her, get her something you really want, and she won't want. When she gets pissed about that, explain that you thought that was how your relationship worked, since she buys things she wants when you get a gift. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but WTF is wrong with your girlfriend? Does she plan on pulling the same crap for the birthdays of your children? Does she do it for her family's birthdays, friends? Or does she only do it to you because she knows you're the only one who'll take the lack of respect? Now for the update. I was not expecting this much attention. I want to thank everyone for commenting and giving advice. Sorry I couldn't get to you all. I wasn't expecting to make an update, but there's been a development. Before that, I want to address a few things. Many commentators said that my GF is a narcissist or has some personality disorder. Probably should have mentioned this before, but she has ADHD, which she is medicated for, so she has always been pretty scatterbrained. However, it did get noticeably worse when we moved in together, such as blowing plans because she either forgot completely or forgot the part where we agreed on them, or completely forgetting to do any errands or chores because she is just so invested in something, usually an art project. There was one comment that resonated with me that said that I must have been conditioned to accept this kind of behavior. That is accurate. My parents always instilled in me to be grateful and happy for getting anything at all because they got nothing when they were younger. If I got a sack of S*** as a gift, I was expected to dance like a happy prospector. If this at all explains my tolerance/doormat behavior. The update. Despite using a throwaway, my GF still found the post. She was very miffed by the responses and tried to vent to her friends, but they weren't on her side. She then decided to show the post to her and my siblings. They wanted to know if it was true, and when confirmed they all yelled at her, and they got our respective parents to calm down and stop talking about it. She came to me over the weekend, and after talking about it since then we kind of worked over several things. She recognized that she really did screw up, and as an apology she gave me this cool dragon diffuser I've been wanting for a while and a box of all the stuff I was gifted, telling me I may do whatever I please with them. She's also open to not receiving gifts for the next couple of special occasions, which I will be doing. So when it came down to her selfish gift giving, apparently what she meant by "I tried" was her forgetting about these occasions up until the last minute and not wanting to admit it. She hastily gets them off of Amazon from whatever shows up first on her homepage, and just hopes I'll like them enough to not say anything negatively, and uses them when I won't. She refused to look at my wish list because gifts should be a surprise, but when I brought up her list, she had no answer. She said she'll look at mine from now on. I don't think this is a deal breaker, but it does need to end, and while most of you were right, there were other issues. We have agreed to therapy, single and couples, which she will pay for. This may not be what you were expecting, but I think it's a good start. Comment 1. I'm glad you are getting therapy, both as a couple and individually. However, your GF is full of cow manure. You have a wish list, yet she continues to buy from her Amazon hoping you will like it? She was angered that people aids with you on this post, so she showed her friends and both your families? Used her diagnosis as an excuse to be selfish? My dude, please take off the rose-colored glasses and see flags that are waving are not just flags. They are marinara in color. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Wow. I can't believe the audacity you have to trash a gift that your girlfriend gave you, simply because you didn't like it. Sure, it might not have been your taste, but that doesn't give you the right to be so disrespectful. Instead of appreciating the thought and effort she put into choosing something for you, you decided to throw a tantrum like a spoiled child. And now you're trying to justify your actions by bringing up past instances where she used gifts that you didn't personally enjoy. Two wrongs don't make a right, buddy. It's clear that there are communication issues in your relationship, and trashing gifts is not the way to solve them. Grow up, apologize to your girlfriend, and start working on your communication skills instead of seeking validation from strangers on the internet. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for exploding when my husband accused me of financial infidelity? Husband, male 33, and female 33, have been married for 10 years, together since college. Since starting out, we have made financial security a priority, and have been able to achieve that, albeit with some good luck along the way. We both have good jobs, paying close to $200K each. Student loans were paid off within a few years, both went to state schools with some scholarships, so didn't have a lot of debt to begin with. We live in a house I inherited from my grandmother, no mortgage, and don't have any credit card debt. We max out our 401ks and currently have 18 months of expenses in our emergency fund and are still adding to it. Our cars are both paid off and should be good for another 5+ years, and we don't have any credit card debt. We manage our finances in a hybrid manner: joint accounts for bills and savings, and separate accounts for our fun money. We each get a pretty generous monthly allotment. The fun money is strictly for our individual expenses, hobbies, clothes, outings with friends, etc., and not for things like date nights, vacations, or larger joint purchases like household appliances and repairs, which come out of our joint account. We also agreed that if either of us gets any bonuses, or has any side hustle income, those will go into our individual fund money accounts, unless the funds are needed for a larger expense such as a major home repair. In terms of the fun money, my husband is much more of a spender than I am due to expensive hobbies, in particular golf and collecting sports memorabilia, and he's also more into designer clothes, which is fine, it's his fun money. On the other hand, my hobbies are a lot less expensive: running/working out, reading, baking. In general, I'm more introverted, and a great time for me is tea with a friend at one of our homes, with homemade pastries. I have also been getting back into gaming lately after setting it aside for much of the past decade while building my career. After realizing I had more than enough in my fun money account, I decided to overhaul my gaming setup and got myself a new PC, desk and gaming chair, total cost of about $5,000. However, upon hearing about the purchase, my husband is furious. He says he had no idea I had saved so much money and that I should have consulted him before spending $5,000. I asked what difference it made if it was my own accrued fund money and not our joint funds, and he insisted that my accumulating this amount, without telling him, was a form of financial infidelity. He says he lost trust in me and doesn't know what else I might be hiding. He is demanding that I return the items I purchased and deposit most of the funds to our joint account. He wants to make a new rule that fund money accounts can't accumulate more than $2,000 and that any excess goes back to the joint account. A rule that would obviously favor him as a person who spends most of his allotment each month instead of saving up for anything bigger. I feel like I am being punished for being more of a day-to-day saver than spender. It wouldn't occur to me to demand to know how much my husband has in his fund money account or to try to micromanage what he spends it on. I wasn't hiding anything deliberately, he never asked about it until after I made the purchases. Still, maybe I should have been more transparent about my plans. So am I the idiot? Miscellaneous info. Husband and I each have our own office/hobby room in the house, so it's not like the gaming setup was going in a space he uses. I don't usually game when my husband is home unless he's already busy doing something else. My biggest block of gaming time is typically when he's off playing golf. Also, I run 40 to 50 miles a week, so it's not like I am generally sedentary. I can't think of a good reason why he would object to me gaming or having a nice gaming setup in my own space in the house. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. He sounds super controlling and greedy. My wife and I manage our finances in a similar way. She spends her money on whatever she wants and I blow mine on outdoor stuff and video games. We have joint checking and savings for household expenses, kids, vacations, etc. I'd sit him down and tell him how he chooses to spend his own money is his business, and how you spend yours is your business. He agreed to this arrangement, and doesn't get to change the rules because he chooses to manage his money differently than you, and you aren't going to return anything because he is acting like a spoiled man-child who didn't get a new toy when you did. Then the original poster responded with, I actually have a lot more than $5,000 saved. We have had this arrangement for a few years and I typically only spend about $500 of my allotted $1,500 per month. Maybe a bit more some months if I need to replace my running shoes, buy other clothes, or have any outings with friends planned like concerts, but in that range. Comment 2. Not the idiot. This isn't a money issue, it's a control issue. Seems like you've spooked him by showing you can quietly amass funds out of sight. You are making a good income and have few expenses, so $5K should not be that big a deal regardless of the circumstance. The only reason it is because your spouse thinks he should have a say in your spending. Red freedom. I'm not saying this is abusive behavior, it could be something else, but this is a thing abusers do. Better to nip it in the bud. Do not agree to the new $2K limit. Push back. Now for the update. My husband finally calmed down enough to have a conversation with me. As many others who provided comments suggested, it wasn't really about the money, but a window into larger issues in our relationship. Essentially, my husband has been feeling increasingly unhappy with me for a while, for the following reasons. 1. In general, he feels that he's a lot more committed to his career development than I am to mine. It's true that although we currently have about the same income, the ceiling for his field, finance, is a lot higher than the one for mine, tech/software dev. He's currently in an executive training program, and I'm decidedly not. He's feeling resentful that he's having to work long hours in a high-pressure environment, while I get to work primarily at home doing something that is fun and fairly easy for me, and I'm not stretching myself to do more. He's concerned that over time these resentments are going to build, and that I'm not going to end up pulling my weight financially if he takes huge leaps in his career and I don't. 2. He remarked that, since getting back into gaming a few months ago, I have been putting a bit less effort into cooking. I do nearly all the cooking because I work at home and have an easier schedule. It's true that I have been fixing simpler meals, things like grilled chicken salads, or chili with cornbread, instead of elaborate meals with fussier foods and several sides. He has also noticed that I haven't been doing the elaborate table settings I used to, with flowers on the table, fancy placemats, etc. Honestly, I didn't realize he noticed or cared about this. But apparently he does. Acts of service are one of his main love languages, so overall he's feeling a little neglected because of this. 3. He also feels I'm not putting enough effort into my appearance. Not in terms of weight/body, I'm a long-distance runner and slim, but in terms of things like clothes, hair, etc. It's true that I've never paid much attention to these things given that I work at home and tech. The standard for appearances is extremely low, and I far exceed that. I tend to buy simple, practical clothes at places like Target and Walmart, don't wear much makeup and keep my hair in a simple ponytail. I do glam up a lot more for date nights and other dressy occasions, but most days he comes home from work to find me in a t-shirt and yoga pants with no makeup, and he wants me to make more of an effort. The bottom line is that because of all these things, he's starting to notice other women. Says he hasn't cheated, he's just noticing other people because he's regularly disappointed in me. In particular, given that he works in finance, there are a good number of very career-oriented, type A women who manage to have fantastic bodies, be effortlessly polished and glam, and have more interesting hobbies. He also says he feels horrible about all this because he knows I am a good person and that he's being judgmental, that it's not so much I've changed as that his own goals and expectations have changed in the past couple years. The financial infidelity part came into it because he feels I'm not really investing in myself and our relationship, thus cheating on our future, in a sense. He also says he loves me enough to be honest. I do believe he isn't trying to be hurtful. I really had to drag all this out of him. That he doesn't want us to drift apart further. That he doesn't want to be angry and resentful, and he knows he is asking for a lot. I know that many on this site might say I should just tell him to take a hike and call my lawyer, but we've been married for 10 years, have invested a lot in the relationship, and I want to see if the marriage can be saved. So, a couple things. First, we made an appointment with a marriage counselor and started next week. Also, I'm going to try to do at least some of the above. I'm not sure about making myself be more professionally ambitious when I'm already happy with my work-life balance, and we're already financially very comfortable. But I can at least try doing the other things, return to spending more time on cooking and decor, and fix myself up a bit when he's on his way home from work, now that I know they are important to him. I also know that in the end, I may feel like I am just tiptoeing around and contorting myself to please him, but it won't cost me much, certainly much less than a divorce, to try for a month or two and then see how we both feel. And I know I would always regret it if I didn't try. So, maybe not the update that you were expecting or hoping for, but that's where things are. And if folks continue to be interested, I can update further once we have started marriage counseling and once I can feel out how the changes are going. Edit. I need to call it a night, but once again thank you to everyone for your responses. They were really eye-opening and helped me to see that I do deserve better than the way I am being treated, and that the expectations my husband is laying out for me are unfair and unrealistic, especially as he isn't doing anything at all to make it easier for me to meet them or to show me he appreciates my efforts and everything I do bring to the table. I am indeed conditioned to be very people-pleasing, and that is impacting what I think is reasonable here. I have a lot to think about, such as what do I really want here? What is going to make me happy, especially if I have to keep making myself smaller, metaphorically speaking, and contorting myself to please my husband? Do I really want to be in a marriage under those conditions? I think I'm really selling myself short if I just agree to most of what he demands. Still going to go to the marriage counseling appointment, but I think I will wait to make any other changes until we can at least get some professional input. Comment 1. You're the idiot. Your husband is opening up about his feelings and concerns, and all you can think about is your own happiness. It's clear that he's been struggling with his career and feeling neglected in the relationship. Instead of empathizing with him and trying to understand his perspective, you're focused on how this affects you. Your response should be to support him and work together to find a solution, not to dismiss his feelings and threaten to leave. Relationships require effort and compromise from both parties, and it seems like you're unwilling to do that. Your lack of empathy and selfishness is appalling. If you continue to prioritize your own happiness over your husband's, don't be surprised if your marriage falls apart. Comment 2. He's proposing that someone making $200,000 a year won't pull their weight financially? He's an idiot. I'd take my massive salary and leave. Don't let the sunk cost fallacy keep you with someone who doesn't respect you or even seem to like you. Comment 3. I want to point out something. You keep saying his love language is acts of service, but what acts of service does he do for you? My love language is quality time and gifts, so I like to do things like figure out tickets to a show someone would like and go see it with them. Or just simply a DVD of a movie I think they'd like. A gift that lets me spend time with them. It's how I express my love for people, and I feel appreciated when people do similar things for me in return. But if he is not giving acts of service, then bullfucking shit is his love language acts of service. That's just his excuse to demand civility from you while offering you nothing in return. That was a long one, so if you made it to the end, please drop a like. I post twice a day with the freshest stories from Reddit, so if you like these, you'll like these videos too. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for not doing everything my sister wants? I, female 33, have always had a strained relationship with my family, especially my mom. When me and my siblings, female 38 and male 35, were younger, our standard practice for the weekend was to hide anything that could break or be used as a weapon on a Friday night and put it back on Monday morning before school so no one would notice. If we forgot, my mom and stepdad would come back from the pub and start fighting, and it always went too far. Then we would be left to clean up the mess. So weekends went, Friday comes home from school, mom and SD go pub, we hide things. Sat be as quiet as possible so we didn't wake up. They would go out Saturday night. Be hungover Sunday, and we would put everything back before school on Monday. It was extremely toxic. Most nights we would hear physical fighting. If we got out of bed we would get beat, so it was easier to hide in bed pretending to be asleep whilst being scared, praying you hadn't made a noise. Some days I would cry and get beat for crying. My brother moved out at 13. He went to my uncle's. My mom wouldn't allow me to go as I was her baby girl. My older sister moved out when she was 17 after meeting a boy she fell in love with. That just left me dealing with everything. When I was 16, I was told to get a job and had to give over 3/4 of my wages to my mom, who had never worked a day in her life. When I was 18, I questioned her as to why I had to pay so much. That resulted in me getting kicked out, having nowhere to go. I had to live on the streets. My sister lived in Blackpool and my brother didn't speak to me. I never found out why. Now that I'm older, married with 2 beautiful children, I often look at them and wonder how anyone could treat their children the way I was treated. I live in Scotland now, far away from my mom. My sis, however, has become close with my mom. After my SD died, my mom reached out to all 3 of us and wanted to build bridges. She won't admit what she did wrong though. She won't admit to the beatings, the moving house every time social services got involved, sometimes letting questionable men look after us, and having horrible things happen to me and my sis. She says our childhood wasn't that bad and I'm being dramatic. I have PTSD from everything she's put me through and I just want her to be held accountable, but I feel like I'm never going to get that apology I want. I know it won't change what happened. I just want to hear, "I'm sorry." She wants to meet my children, which I really don't want to happen. My sis is pushing for this to happen and I'm unsure why. I don't understand the hold my mom has on my sister. We often talk about our childhood as I thought that maybe I was being dramatic as I was young. But now she remembers my mom beating us. She remembers my mom letting people SA us and telling us it's just part of being a woman. I don't understand why my sister wants this woman in her life. I don't understand why she wants this woman near my children. It makes me feel angry and sick. I just don't get it, but no, I won't get the answers I want. So would I be if I just ignored my sister's requests and didn't let my mom in my life again? Mini update. So I've just seen my post on TikTok and that was weird tbh. I thought I'd answer some questions I read there. 1. My sister has no children and moved back to Leeds a few years ago. My brother has a wife and 5 children and also lives in Leeds. My brother is in no contact with my mum, but his wife talks to her and sends her pictures of her children. No one in my family knows where I live as they all pretty much left me to fend for myself, so when I moved to Scotland no one seemed to notice. I don't have any social media for this reason. I also don't have many friends because I'm very cautious about who I have in my life. I do see a counselor, and have done for the past 10 years, so I'm honestly doing okay. Anytime I want to see my siblings I always drive down to Leeds. My biological dad lives abroad. He left when my mum broke his ribs when I was 2, he just left us. He has 2 other children with his second wife. I've never met any of them, just email my dad from time to time. As you can tell, I have a lot of issues and I think that's why I still speak to my sister and brother, as they are the only family I have, and we all tried really hard to look after each other as children. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. I grew up in an abusive household, turned 18 in the foster care system. Years later, when I was pregnant, my mom wanted to reconnect. She wouldn't admit to any wrongdoing either, even though CPS took us away as a direct result of her actions. And I still wondered if it wouldn't be the right thing to do. Then I had my daughter, and I realized unequivocally that I was making the right choice to stay no contact, because I would have walked through hellfire to protect my kid from the things my parents deliberately did to me. Drove it home just how fricked up they really were. Protect your babies, and protect yourself. Comment 2. Imagine 2 glasses. One filled with motor oil representing your childhood and the other filled with your favorite drink representing the life you built with your 2 children. The moment you drop even a little bit of the oil glass into your favorite glass, you will ruin the whole drink. Separate them by all means possible. I know you desire an apology from your mother, but it won't happen. I have gone no contact with my father, but tried several times to build bridges together, but every time his behavior destroyed them. So I recommend you to learn from my mistakes and go full no contact with them. You have grown and built something beautiful. Don't let it be spoiled because of some hope, also for your children's sake. Not the idiot. Now for the update. So I really wasn't expecting my first post to blow up like it did. I guess I just wanted to feel like I wasn't actually crazy. I showed my husband my post, and he got really mad at me. I didn't understand why. He said it was letting everyone know what happened to me when it should be private between me and my family. This felt very odd to me. I guess he told my sister about my post too because she started blowing up my phone and telling me I've made her come across as a psycho. I need to leave the past in the past. That's her words. Apparently it takes a strong person to accept and move on from someone's mistakes. I'm unsure how my mom abusing us is something I should just brush under the carpet. Anyway, my husband and I got into an argument over this whole thing. He left the house and didn't come back. I tried to ring him, but it turned out he left his phone here. Curiosity got the better of me and I'm not proud of this, but I went through it. Something I have never ever done, and this is where I messed up. We know each other's passwords as it's our wedding anniversary. Guess who is sexting with my husband? Yup, my sister. From what I can gather, it's been happening for 3 years. I'm guessing that when he goes away for work he meets up with her. There's pictures of my husband, my sister, and my mum all in a pub. 3 freaking years this man has been, in his words, picturing her whilst in bed with me. He says he married the wrong sister. He says that she's a wonderful woman for getting over our past when I have to make a big deal out of it. He comments on how my body is disgusting after having children. I'm fat now, apparently with more stripes than a zebra. Yes, I have stretch marks. I don't think I'm fat. I'm a size 12. I am 5'9". I work out. I try to get over everything. Now I just feel broken. I don't know when he will come back. I don't know what to say when he comes back. I am, however, grateful for my post because now I know that the happiness I thought I had was one giant lie. Frick. Sorry, I just had to get this off my chest. Me and my kids are gonna be okay. Unsure on what to do. I'm broken. Completely broken. Comment 1. Let me be crass. The guy who was screwing your sister for 3 years doesn't get to lecture anyone on what makes someone a good or strong or decent human being. Light them on fire. Get yourself screenshots and go right to a lawyer. Comment 2. You know what to do. If the house is in your name, put his things outside. I wouldn't even bother trying to get him to be reasonable. You need to get your divorce papers in order as well as child arrangements whilst he is out right now. Get your passports and all important documents somewhere safe. Make a copy of all evidence of his cheating because you will need that for the divorce whilst you can. I hope you've done this already. You also need to let your lawyer know that you do not want your children around your mother and sister, and the reason why. Your sister was also a victim, but as an adult she is choosing to be around a woman who enabled pedophiles and let her children be abused. Like everyone else has told you in the previous post, protect your children and protect yourself. Get your poop together and get out of his life. Him and your sister can be very happy together. You would be an idiot if you let those women around your children, and if you didn't divorce him. He is putting your children in danger. Now, for the next story. Would I be the idiot if I break up with my fiancé because of his past as a cheater? I, female 25, met my fiancé, Jamie, male 34, a year ago through a friend. We instantly clicked and started dating. After 1 year he proposed to me and I said yes. But here is the thing. Before proposing he told me the truth about his past relationship. He was married to a woman, Cynthia, 3 years ago, and they divorced because he started cheating on her with a coworker. He regrets ever doing that. He has been on a healing journey from that. He has told me that the affair was a mistake and that he would never do it again. He just wants to be honest with me before we take this relationship to the next level. I understand what he meant. He is obviously remorseful, and I have seen his ex-wife. She seems happier with someone else. And everyone makes mistakes or makes decisions that they regret. I trust him and love him a lot. But I can't shake off this feeling that he would not do this to me. This started when he was being secretive about his phone. He would smile at the screen often. I asked him what it was. He just showed me his phone and he was looking at a meme. He probably sensed that I was doubting him. So he let me check his phone. There was nothing in there. But still I couldn't trust him. Few days after our engagement he had a work party. He took me to that party as well. I saw that he was being a bit friendly to some women. I went there and introduced myself. Later I got to know she was the same girl he cheated with. I confronted him about it. He said that he doesn't talk to her. They broke up shortly after their divorce. And he cannot avoid her because he worked with her. I told him I am not comfortable with him hanging out with someone who was his mistress. He respected my decision, and as far as I know he has not contacted her outside of work. I know I have no reason to doubt him. He doesn't give off any signs of infidelity, yet I have a hard time trusting him. He is loving and caring. He supports me in my dreams. He is patient and kind. I know it is unfair of me to judge him based on just that. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine asked me to meet her, and she told me the whole truth about Jamie. She knows Cynthia because she and her brother were college friends. She told me to be careful of Jamie because he cheated on his ex-wife. I told her I already know that. She further told me he started cheating on Cynthia right after she had a miscarriage. He was upset that Cynthia was depressed, and he started to feel neglected. After talking to my friend, I confronted Jamie. He told me this was the truth. He was still in grief because he lost his child. He didn't know what he was thinking. He started to feel resentful towards her, but he never meant to hurt her. I asked him if I needed a break from all of this. It is just too much for me. He said he understands, and I still haven't talked to him. I don't know if I should break up with him just because of this. He does feel guilty about it. But he is really nice and mature. Will I be making a mistake if I break up with him? Edit. I think I should mention that he never said anything about a miscarriage. He just told me they had a tragic accident which made both of them distant. I didn't ask because he said he doesn't want to talk about it. Also, I am still not fully sure if he regrets the cheating because he never confessed to cheating to his wife. His wife caught him in the middle of the act inside their house. So, this has been a bother that he got caught and probably feels guilty for that. I don't know. Now, for a few comments before the update. Don't marry people you have known for a year. Especially people who are known cheaters. There is absolutely no reason to rush things if you don't trust him. Slow things down if you want to try to work things out, but also someone being a cheater is absolutely a valid reason to dump them. Comment 2. He didn't tell you the whole truth. He told you the part he could most easily put a spin on and made you pry the ugly details out of him when other people sought you out to warn you. He may say he'll never cheat again, but he still sees lying by omission and running interference as solutions to his problems, and that should give you massive pause. Now for the update. I analyzed all the things you guys said. Some of you all have told me to forgive him because apparently a man's cheating is not a big deal because men can't control themselves. That was hilarious. As if that is going to help me. Anyways, I talked to him. I explained that his past bothers me. I mean, he cheated on his wife when she was going through something so traumatic. I brought up the fact that I am also at high risk when it comes to pregnancy. I told him I cannot fully trust him that he will not cheat on me as well. He told me he has learned his lesson from the previous time. When his infidelity got exposed, he had people around him calling him a monster. His parents still don't talk to him directly. He feels guilty because of it and regrets it. Then I told him that maybe we should date more rather than rushing into marriage and maybe to go couples counseling. That's when he got slightly mad. He said that if I don't trust him, then there is no point in being together. I tried to fight and say it is not like that. We just need some time. He has to understand that. He told me again that it was not fair for me to judge him when he never judged me because of my past. I asked what he meant by that. He pointed out that he knows how in the past I used to sleep around a lot. Okay, let me be clear to you. Yes, when I was in college I did have few ons and few serious relationships. I told him he was being illogical because even though I have a sexual history, I never cheated on any of my boyfriends. I always called it quits when I realized it was not meant to be. He kept pressing the matter and said I should let it go because he let go of my past, WTF, comma. I said my past is in the past. And now I am thinking about my future, and he is so pathetic to even compare his immoral cheating with my past. He argued that I was immoral too. It felt like a dead-end road. We both shouted and fought, and eventually I took the ring off and said goodbye. The last thing he said was that his past and baggage aren't as big as mine and that I am a hypocrite for judging him. That I will have a hard time finding a partner who is willing to be with a loose girl like me. It hurts tbh. I never thought he would act like that. I am trying my best to move on but still stuck in a limbo, and his words are repeating inside my head. Edit. If you guys think you can make me feel bad for having sex in the past, then save it. You won't be the first red pill dickhead who has ever said that to me. I just laugh at your face because I am pretty sure you guys get no ladies. And don't threaten me with, nobody will wife you up. I will never husband someone whose thinking is so backwards in the first place. Dying single isn't as bad as rotting with men like you guys. Comment 1. You just met the person who traumatized his ex-wife, the real him. Comment 2. You're the idiot. You're really overreacting here. Your fiancé was honest with you about his past and has shown remorse for his actions. People make mistakes, and it seems like he's genuinely changed and learned from his experience. You're being unfair by constantly doubting him and bringing up his past. You should be focusing on building trust and communication in your relationship instead of dwelling on his previous actions. And your response to his comment about your past shows a lack of maturity and understanding. It's not about comparing whose past is worse, it's about moving forward and building a future together. Breaking up with him over this is an extreme and unnecessary decision. Work on your insecurities and give your relationship a chance to grow. Comment 3. Honestly, OP, I think you dodged a bullet here. He is trying to blame you for a non-existent issue, to take the heat off of his disgusting actions. You were smart to question this, and don't listen to his bull poop about you. You are not loose. But he is a cheat. And he is the idiot, not you. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.